So yesterday in the previous class we were discussing about the Darshana Shastras, Astika Darshana and Nastika Darshana. So let me complete that part of it. So Astika Darshana is those visions, those works which take Vedas as an authority and upon it they develop. They are not independent, their roots are there in Vedas, that I was telling. That is Astika Darshana or theist visions. And the other one is the atheist visions. So they don't consider the Vedas as authority and they don't take Veda as a pramana, the ultimate proof and other things. They've got their own schools of thought. Say for example, Jaina Darshana, Bauddha Darshana, Charvaka Darshana, there are so many things. But it's not that they are totally wrong or totally have got something nonsense. No, they do have certain things which are akin to Vedas. But they don't accept Veda as a pramana. They don't accept Veda as an authority. But they do have some Vedic thoughts, but it is mixed with several other anti-Vedic things. So these are all some problems with other things. Therefore, they are separated and called as Nastika Darshanas. That is Darshanas which are atheist in nature. Okay, I was discussing about this Astika Darshana and I had explained a little about Nyaya and Yoga. Nyaya, which was realized by Patanjali. Yoga Darshana. Nyaya is Gautama. Gautama who has written the logical part of it. That is Nyaya Darshana, and Yoga by Patanjali, that's Patanjali Yoga Darshana. So there are two things I just referred to in the previous class. Now the other four we can just go into. The next one is Sankhya Darshana. Sankhya Darshana. Sankhya Darshana. This is the work of Kapila. Kapila. K-A-P-A-L-A. Kapila Rishi. So Kapila Rishi is the author of this. And once again, I mentioned that this is not an independent work, but it is based on the Vedic thoughts. So whatever Vedic thoughts we have got, has abridged, is an abridged form of the Vedic thoughts. Sankhya Darshana, written by Kapila Muni. The main features, I'll just rush through.
What is Sankhya Darshana means?
Yes, please.
Sankhya Darshana means what, Sharmaji?
That's what I was about to tell you.
Okay.
Sankhya Darshana, he speaks of 25 things. He makes a list of 25 things. Sankhya comes from Sankhya, number. So he speaks of a number 25. So 1, 2, 3, 4 like this 25 he counts. He makes a list and says, if you understand these 25, yes, you have understood life. And your goal in life will be very clear, provided you understand these 25. He makes a list. That list we will see once again when we go to Sankhya Darshana in detail. So because he has mentioned a number and knowing about these 25 things will throw light upon your life. So that is Sankhya Darshana. Sankhya is number. Sankhya is where has mentioned some number and so they have named it as Sankhya Darshana. Now, while discussing about these 25 items, he puts forth certain thoughts. And once again, I remind you, these thoughts are taken from the Vedas only. Anand avare, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ camera ಕೆಳಕ್ಕೆ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ನೀವು ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರಿ. Okay, fine. So he says, the life is having 3 types of problems. That's what we generally call it as tapatraya. Tapa is heat or problem. Traya is 3. So we are suffering from one or the other tapa, heat. So he speaks of tapatraya. And what is this tapatraya? One is Adhi Bhautika Tapatraya. Adhi Bhautika Tapatraya. That is one of them. Adi Bhautika. Then second one is Adi Daivika. Third one is Adhyatmika. These are the three pronged problems or stress that we suffer during our life. Adi Bhautika means it's all materialistic. Adi Daivika is natural. Natural calamities, natural havocs, etc. etc. Then Adhyatmika is spiritual. So in our spiritual pursuit also, we face lot of problems, lot of ups and downs, lot of attractions, distractions, so many things. Now in human life, we experience all these three. Adi Bhautika problems, Adi Daivika problems and Adhyatmika problems. Now to overcome it is finally experiencing bliss. So to overcome all these things is the purpose of human life, and ultimately we come out of this birth and death cycle, and that is called as moksha, salvation, mukti, anything, you can call it by any name. So the different names are there. So in that state we will be able to experience bliss and will not be subjected to these three types of heats or burns. So that is one aspect what he discusses. And he says that moksha or mukti is the ultimate goal that we all have got. And we all are aspiring for that. That's what he says. Then as Gautama, that is Nyaya Darshana, when he discusses logic, this person also takes help of logic and speaks a little about it. And he just says what he has said. That is, we have got three types of proofs to evaluate whether a certain thing is true or not, credible or not, dependable or not. Like say, Pratyaksha Pramana, that is direct cognition, Anumana Pramana, inference, and Aptavakya, the words of the wise. So these are all the things which Gautama in his Nyaya Darshana has said. And the same thing this person also repeats in his Sankhya Darshana. Then he speaks of another important thing, that is Bhoktru and Abhoktru. Bhoktru is one who consumes, who involves. Abhoktru is one who is just a witness and is not part of the whole thing. Say, I can give you an example from chemistry, then you will be able to understand it. A chemical reaction happens between two chemicals. Now, sometimes to these chemicals we add catalyst. Now, catalyst doesn't undergo any change, but its presence hastens the chemical reaction. So, this we call it as a catalyst. Catalyst is abhoktru, and the chemicals involved in the reaction, they are all bhoktru. That is one simple example I can give. So he speaks about that, Bhoktru and Abhoktru, and he says, the Satchit is Bhoktru and Satchidananda is Abhoktru. We have discussed elaborately about this earlier. Now the same thing he tells in a precise form and in a short form, in the form of a formula. So this is about Sankhya Darshana, written by Kapila Muni or Kapil Rishi. Then we have got Vaisheshika Darshana. Vaisheshika Darshana. That's the fourth one. We have seen Nyaya Darshana, Yoga Darshana, Sankhya Darshana, and next one is Vaisheshika Darshana. I'll make it clear, I am not going into the details, I am just giving the essence of it. So that whenever we heard that word about Vaisheshika Darshana, we should be able to know at least something. A few things we should be able to know and the essence of it. So that's what I am trying to convey to you. So it is Vaisheshika Darshana, and it is the vision of Maharshi Kanada. Maharshi Kanada. Incidentally, my grandson's name is Kanada. We have named our grandson as Kanada.
Maharishi Kanada.
And another meaning is there for that Kanada. That is, he is the author of Vaisheshika Darshana is one. Apart from that, the very word Kanada means the minutest particle that you can think of. So one is capable of grasping and understanding even that minutest thing is called as Kanada. So now here this Kanada is the author of this Vaisheshika Darshana. And what is the subject matter of this Vaisheshika Darshana? If I am right, Vaisheshika Darshana is the oldest book on atomic science and nuclear science. And the origin, of course, is India. It is the oldest thing you can, apart from Vedas, because this has got its roots in Vedas, that's right. So, living Vedas, man-made text on nuclear science or atomic science is this Vaisheshika Darshana written by Maharshi Kanada. Of course, the subject matter is drawn from Vedas. Now in this Vaisheshika Darshana, he discusses about the material world, how it is formed and how it becomes active, how it becomes or how it is having the Satchit with it. Sat is the material world. Satchit, and how Sat and Satchit go together. All these things he discusses. So while discussing so, he goes deep into the subject and says how this world is made up of. So the first immediate thing what we get is, it is made up of elements. Maybe 108 plus elements as we see in the periodic table in the modern science. Or it may be Panchabhutas as in the Vedic science. They speak of Vedic science. And there we have got 5 bhutas. Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala and Prithvi. Tirga bidoy to camera. Anand avare. So these are the 5 elements and a proportion. Depending upon different proportions, the whole material world is made up of, and it all is made up of these 5 elements: Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Jala and Prithvi. This is over. Then the next question comes, what are these made up of? And that is the search, that is a query. Now we have got Akasha, Agni, okay. What are these made up of? Then we say they are all made up of smaller things called as atoms, which are smaller than or minute compared to the elemental state, elements. Okay then. So when you go there, in the modern science they speak of neutron, electron, proton and other things. So okay, fine. What are they made up of? The question continues. They say they are all made up of what you call this quantums. They speak of quarks. Like this, if you give the answer, then the next question is, what are they made up of? So the question continues and continues and continues. The whole problem is, whenever you say something which is minute compared to the earlier one, then the next question is, what is that made up of? Now, where is an end for this?
Ambha.
So somewhere you have to stop. Yes, please?
Ambha.
Yes, you are right. That I have spoken. So a reference to that is there in this Vaisheshika Darshana. That is the minutest basic particle out of which the whole world has taken its form. That is the basic material of Sat. So that he discusses in this Vaisheshika Darshana. And today, in the modern science, they are not reached up to Ambha, which I have told you, but they have reached up to God particle. Or they call it as Higgs boson particle, and they call it as Devakana. So up to that they have come, and again that question remains, what is Devakana, God particle is made up of? So I have to find something which is still minute compared to it. So the search is on. But here in the Vedas and in Vaisheshika Darshana, they are very clear. If you go on asking, what is this made up of, what is this made of, there is no end, and you will not find an answer. And you cannot understand the structure of the whole Sat Jagat. Therefore, at one point you have to stop it, and he has stopped there to that Ambha. And of course, the matter he has got it from the Vedas. Vedas very clearly, while speaking of creation of the world, they speak of this Ambaha as a basic fundamental particle, even earlier to Panchabhutas. Out of this Ambaha, only Panchabhutas have come, and onwards a different proportion, resulting in this whole of material world. Then, he is also very clear in this Vaisheshika Darshana, which modern science is still searching for, and they are not very clear about it. He says in Vaisheshika Darshana, now this Ambaha is Sat. Because it is Sat, it is not capable of making itself organized. It cannot convert itself into a structured universe, structured systematic universe. He is very clear about it. And he says there must be some other entity, there should be some other force which has used this Sat to convert it into a systematic, logical, rational world. He is very clear about it. And of course, that whole credit goes to Satchidananda, which is omniscient, which knows all, and at the same time omnipotent, which has got the capacity to do anything, without any tool, without any assistance. And why it is done, okay, that is subject matter in the Vedas, and it's not gone into deep into it. That is for Satchit. Satchidananda has created this whole universe using Sat for the sake of Satchidananda. That's a complete. Now this point is highlighted in Vaisheshika Darshana, mainly the Sat part, and he mentions that very clearly. Satchidananda is an entity because of which only Sat has taken this form. He is very clear about it. Modern science is failing at this. Modern science has understood sufficiently about Sat. But how Sat became this universe, a systematic universe? It is inert. How can it make itself, how can it convert itself into this systematic array, systematic rules with all those things? How it can become? It's the only answer is, it has been made like that by another entity called Satchidananda. Now that part is still, modern science is grappling and they are not able to find it, and it is a grey area for them still. That's why I say Vedic science compared with modern science is still in its infancy. Lot of things it has to still research and understand. It may take the centuries, I don't know. But Vedas and Vaisheshika Darshana, based on Vedas, they are very clear about it, and they say so. Then we have got Purva Mimamsa Darshana. That's the next one. Purva Mimamsa Darshana. 4 we have seen, this is the 5th one. Purva Mimamsa Darshana. This is the work of Jaimini Maharshi. Now why I am using this Maharshi or Rishi, you have to understand. The word Rishi means visionary. Rishir Darshanat. That's what in Nirukta Yaska says. Rishir Darshanat. One has realized the truth, one has seen truth, is called as a Rishi. And there is no reference, I repeat, there is no reference to the dress code. So we are misled. When you say Rishi, immediately we think of some dress, some saffron clothes, maybe some hair lock here in this way, and so many things. That's all concoctions, that's all imaginary. The actual meaning of Rishi is one who has realized the truth, and one has seen truth, one has experienced truth. He is called as a Rishi. Rishi Darshanat. Darshana means to see a thing as it is. A knowledgeable, wise person. He is called as a Rishi. So that's why these people are called as Rishis. Maybe Patanjali, maybe Kapila, maybe Kanada, maybe Gautama. They are all called as Rishis because they were able to see truth, understand truth, experience truth, and express truth through their darshanas. So here, Jaimini is the Rishi responsible for this work, Purva Mimamsa Darshana. Repeat once again, that this Purva Mimamsa Darshana is not an independent work, it has got its roots in Vedas. Now here, what are the things that he discusses? He discusses many things, some very important things as an essence of this Purvamimamsa Darshana, I shall try to convey it. Now in Nyaya Darshana, and as I was telling in Sankhya Darshana, for different types of proofs, they are speaking of Pratyaksha Pramana, Anumana Pramana, and Shabda Pramana, or Apta Vakya, direct cognition, inference, and words of the wise. Now here, he gives one more type of proof that he calls it as Arthapatti. 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 So he said this is also another kind of proof. And he separates it and says there are 4 types of proofs. But in reality, when I explain this Arthapatti, you will understand that it can very well get into Anumana, inference. It's another type of inference only. Inference, which is a bit elaborated, or inference in the second level, he is calling it as Arthapatti and separating it as a different proof. But actually, Arthapatti is part of inference only. Say one very simple example I will give you. Say there is one person who is hale and healthy and very hefty and strong. And he is not taking his food during daytime.
He has to eat at night.
So what does it mean?
He has to be eating at night.
That's all. That is Arthapatti, over. So how you got into that is just an inference. Now we are seeing him hale and healthy and strong. And that cannot happen unless a person eats well. And is not eating it during day. It means he is eating during night sufficiently. So this is of course another form of inference only. But this person says this is Arthapatti and this is another type of proof. Okay. Anyhow, this part of inference, we can understand this part of inference and go about it. That's what he says, Arthapatti. Then he speaks of another very important thing. He emphasizes on another word called as dharma. Dharma. Now, unfortunate thing is, I don't have a good word in English which conveys the meaning of the word dharma. I don't have an exact translation for it. Now he defines dharma as Chodana Lakshano Dharma. Chodana Lakshano Dharma. Chodana Lakshano Dharma. That is the definition for dharma what he gives in this Purvamimamsa. Now in our life we do have what we call as do's and don'ts. Every place we have got it. Every place we have got it. Maybe in an office, maybe at home, maybe in a relationship, maybe in a friendship, maybe in our financial activities. Wherever you go, life is a combination of do's and don'ts. So certain things you are supposed to do, certain things you are not supposed to do. So when you follow these do's and don'ts clearly, yes, things will be very comfortable and without any problem. What is to be done if you don't do it? What is not to be done if you do it? Yes, we are into problems. Simple. Now this we have got everywhere. Now the same thing he speaks here in this Purvamimamsa and says, Chodana Lakshano Dharma. Dharma is that which is to be done. And that part of do's is called as dharma. What is to be done? Your duties in which you have to involve, the things you have to adopt, these are all called as dharma. Chodana Lakshana Dharma. Chodana means that which motivates us, in which we have to involve, that which prompts us. That is called as dharma. Chodana Lakshano Dharma. All the do's, if you put it in one word, it is called dharma. Now coming to the meaning of dharma on the basis of Vedic thoughts, it comes from one dhatu, dudhai dharana poshana yoga. That we have seen already. Dudhai dharana poshana yoga. Dharana is to bear, to sustain, and poshana is to nourish. Anything that sustains us, that bears us, that supports us and nourishes us is called as dharma. Dharana, poshana. Now all the do's what we are speaking of, that's what they do. So what is to be done if we do it? Our duties, our responsibilities, when we discharge them, yes, we'll be protected, we'll be sustaining and we'll be nourished also. Don'ts are the opposite. What is not to be done if we do it, then yes, we are into trouble, we are not protected, we are not sustaining and we are not nourished also. Whatever nourishment we have got, we will lose it because it is something not to be done. So do's and don'ts. So the do part is called as the dharma. Chodana lakshano dharmaha. This is a definition what we find in this Purva Mimamsa. Then he speaks of other things. He says, these are the 4 things which have to be compulsorily followed in life. Of course, the same way this Patanjali also speaks in this Yoga Darshana. But it's not just 4. He speaks of Ashtanga Yoga, and in the first one, Yama, 5 subdivisions I have told you, and Niyama, 5 divisions. He is very elaborate. But here, in this Purva Mimamsa Darshana, Jaimini is not as elaborate as Patanjali. But still, the essence, if I take it, is the same. He speaks of 4 things to be followed compulsorily. One is Ahimsa, the same as one subdivision, Niyama in Yoga. Then second one is Satya. Then third one is speaks of Dana. Dana is the mind to give, to share, charity. Dana. Then Daya, compassion. Daya is compassion, love for others. Karuna, Daya and Karuna, they are one and the same. Mercy. These are different words that we can use. He says these 4 things have to be compulsorily adopted in life, to be adopted in life. That is for your good. That is for your good. Ahimsa, Satya, Dana, Daya. And he says these 4 make up the dharma which I was telling just now. Chodana lakshano dharmaha. So dharma is composed of these 4. Ahimsa, Satya, then Dana and Daya. Dana you can understand is sharing. When I have to coexist with people, we have to share. Give and take is a must. And the whole give and take cycle is start from giving only. Giving is a starting point, then somebody takes, again some gives, and give and take, it's a big chain. But it starts from giving. So that is Dana. That's how he explains those things. Then he speaks of course, other people also speak about it. He emphasizes on the goals in life, that he calls it as Purushartha. Purushartha. The ones for which a soul has to strive for. We have got 4 goals, which you already know. He emphasizes on that. That is Dharma, just now I explained, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma, just now I explained. Artha is material wealth. Kama is desires. And Moksha is bliss. That's coming out of birth and death cycle. Now some people explain it in a beautiful way. That is, either Veda or Darshanas are not against Artha or Kama. Many people say Artha is bad, Kama is bad, only one has to be dharmic, so many things they say. No. We need all the four. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. But the only thing is, this Artha and Kama should be controlled by, on one side Dharma, on the other side Moksha. That's the list what we have got. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So, Artha and Kama should not be left alone. We should have two security guards on either side. One side is Dharma, another side is Moksha. Then Artha and Kama will not go astray. It's controlled and well monitored. It's not against it, we need it. But we should not leave it free. If we leave it for its own sake, yes, it will take us elsewhere. We will not be able to reach that goal. And another very important they say is, whatever you achieve, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, any one of them, whatever you are achieved, should not jeopardize the other three. That's very important. Okay, you achieve Dharma, we have no problem. But while achieving Dharma, you should not lose sight of Artha, Kama and Moksha. Avirodhena, that's what they say. Without jeopardizing the other three, yes, you achieve Dharma, we have no objection. You want to achieve Artha, wealth, fine, excellent, we have no problem. But that is without jeopardizing Dharma, Kama and Moksha. You should not sacrifice the other three. Not at the cost of the other three, you are supposed to achieve this. You want to achieve Kama, fine. But you should not sacrifice, you should not compromise on Dharma, Artha and Moksha. And if you want to achieve Moksha, excellent, but that should not be at the cost of Dharma, Artha, Kama. Now this is a balancing point what they say. And here in this Purvamimamsa Darshana, this Jaimini emphasizes on that. This is what you have to do, this is how you have to balance. And of course the thoughts what he has been expressing is all drawn from Vedas again and again I am telling it. Why I am telling it again and again is, most of the people, they consider these darshanas as independent works and they will make no reference to Vedas. Now that is the highest problem what we have got. So the darshanas will not be able to understand them perfectly, clearly, because there is no reference to Vedas. But when you refer to Vedas and see the sutras in these darshanas, the sutras become crystal clear. And we can really compare and understand in depth what these sutras mean with reference to the Vedas, in the Vedic life. So I am stressing it again and again. Okay, next. Uttara Mimamsa Darshana. That's the last one. Uttara Mimamsa Darshana. So this Uttara Mimamsa Darshana is a work of Badarayana, another Rishi. Badarayana. And I was telling, it is also called as Vedanta. It's also called as Brahma Sutra, Badarayana Sutra. These are different names for the same darshana called Uttara Mimamsa Darshana. Now what we observe is, in the history, this Uttara Mimamsa Darshana has been popularized very much. Mainly by the three acharyas as I was referring to, that is Shankara, Ramanuja and Madhva. They have popularized this Uttara Mimamsa Darshana or Vedanta Darshana. And along with that, of course, they have popularized Upanishad and Gita. And all the three put together. That is Vedanta Darshana or Brahma Sutra and Gita and Upanishad. They are called as Prasthana Traya. Traya is three. So these three, all these acharyas have popularized it. And as mentioning also, these three basic texts what they have taken, it is the same. But as on date, their followers interpret these three or study the three works of the acharyas and they are all diverging and they fight over it. And that is a sorry aspect of it, because they fail to understand the basic root of this in the Vedas. That is a problem. In the Vedic light, if you study, yes, there is no question of divergence, it is 100% convergence and coherence. It's a very important thing what you have to understand. Otherwise, as we are seeing today, the followers of Shankara, followers of Ramanuja, followers of Madhva, they are all into big fight. That's the sorry aspect of it. One human society or this darshana or the Vedas, we should have unified them. We should have brought unity in them. Now it's lost. If I am not wrong, they fight tooth and nail. They fight tooth and nail. That's a problem. But it's not so. Actually, the Uttara Mimamsa, once again as I was telling, has got its roots in the Vedas. And in the Vedic light, if you start understanding it, Shankara, Ramanuja and Madhva and their works, they all fall in line. And they are all complementary to one another. That we'll discuss once again in some session, in short. And maybe if required, we'll go into detail at a later stage. So this is about Uttara Mimamsa, the Darshana. And they speak of one very important word there. They use it. That is called as Jignasa. 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 Jignasa means thirst to know. Jnatum ichha. Jnatum ichha jignasa. I want to know the truth. I want to search truth. I want to discover truth. So with this idea, if a person regularly works on it, he is called as a jignasu. And the root for it is jna avabodhane. Avabodhane is to realize truth. Jna avabodhane. Jignasa jnatum ichha. Jignasa. I want to know, I want to experience truth. So a person is continuously at it. He pursues it. So he is called as a jignasu. Now they use along with this jignasa another word that is called Brahma. Brahma jignasa. Brahma jignasa. Brahma, as I told you earlier, refers to one is God, another one is that which has the potential to grow, another one is knowledge. It's got different connotations. So very important three are these. Brahma is God, Brahma is knowledge, Brahma is one who has got the potential to grow, and that is Satchit. For Satchit also we call it as Brahma because it has the potential to grow. The highest power is God, so it's also called as Brahma. Knowledge is also called as Brahma because with reference to human life, knowledge is the highest. That is, human beings or animals with knowledge, with analysis, with thinking, which no other animal in the planet has got. They are all working on instincts. The whole animal world is working on instincts. And beyond instincts, thinking, analyzing and understanding and foreseeing, estimating, guessing, all these things are done by only one animal, that is a human being. So he is also called as Brahma. He has got that potential to grow, potential to understand, potential to expand his horizon of knowledge. So he is called as Brahma. Here Brahma Jignasa means here they refer to knowledge and God. So one who is interested in knowing, understanding, realizing knowledge or truth as well as God, he is called as a Jignasu, Brahma Jignasu. Then another very important to speak of is another word called as Samanvaya. Samanvaya. Samanvaya is a deliberate and conscious effort. Samanvaya is a deliberate and conscious effort to balance and fuse things. To balance and fuse things. So I have got two things. I should always be able to balance between them, fuse them, making it one and continue. If I don't have that conscious effort, if I don't put on my conscious effort or deliberate effort, then what happens is these two things will always remain as two separate things. And these two things sometimes may become opposed also. But if I got the deliberate effort of fusing them, the opposing factors will be removed. That's a very important thing here. So this is a very beautiful formula towards unity. Yes, we do have some differences, but we have to ignore those differences, and what is positive we have to take it and unite them and live together. That's what we call it as unity in diversity. You can understand that one word for unity in diversity is this Samanvaya. So I'll just tell you one simple example for that. Okay, we have got Hinduism, we have got Christianity, we have got Islam. Just for example I'm telling. It's not there only three religions or only these three are there, other things are not there. There are many. Okay, just for example. Hinduism, Christianity and Islam. There are a lot of differences between them. That's why they are not able to live together. Okay. Now what I want to highlight now at this juncture is, nowhere in Quran it says tell a lie. Nowhere in Bible it says tell a lie. Nowhere in Hinduism it says tell a lie. So this is a common aspect. So what we can see is, forgettable all the differences we have got in these religions. We have got one common factor, don't tell a lie. Now this is common for Christians, Muslims and Hindus. Why not follow it? Somebody may say there is one God. Somebody may say Jesus is the only God. Somebody may say there are 3 crores and odd gods. Okay, there are differences. Let us not emphasize on differences. Let us not fight over on differences. But this is common. Has anywhere Quran said tell a lie? Steal? No. Bible has it said? No. Hinduism? No. Then take that. Don't tell lie. It's common for all human beings. And don't steal. Fine, that is common for all. Take it. Be honest. Yes, all the three I have said. Take it. That is common. So this way of thinking and finding out the common elements and going for what is called as a common minimum program, CMP. So this is what they use in politics. If 2-3 parties have to join together and form the government, they work out the CMP, common minimum program. Okay, we have got our own differences in party, but because we have to form the government together, we will have some CMP and go ahead, which is acceptable to all the three. So this is what I am calling it as Samanvaya. Samanvaya is finding those unifying factors even though there is diversity. They are not bringing those diverse things in front. We just put it to the side. And whatever is common, what is acceptable to all, that we bring forward and move ahead. That shall be our agenda. So this is what we call it as Samanvaya. And here in this Vedanta or Brahma Sutra or this Uttara Mimamsa, they stress on this Samanvaya. Now this is what is required. But they forget about it. They speak of Vedanta very much, but the Samanvaya element they miss it. That is, Shankara has said something, maybe Advaita. Ramanujacharya has said about Vishishta Advaita. Madhvacharya has said about Dvaita. Now all the three there are differences. Okay, fine. But what is the Samanvaya? When I come to this Samanvaya, we have to integrate them. It's not disintegrate, we have to integrate them. So for integration, we do have a very beautiful base, that is Vedas. Shankara was not against Vedas, Ramanuja was not against Vedas, Madhvacharya was not against Vedas. And all the three revered Vedas as ultimate proof. Now this is a common thing for all the three. Why not we start from there? Okay, whatever Shankara has said, we shall understand it in the light of Vedas. Whatever Madhva has said, we will understand it in the light of Vedas. Whatever Ramanuja has said, we will understand it in the light of Vedas. You see, this way of thinking, this way of understanding, this way of analyzing is what I am calling it as integration. That is Samanvaya. Now that is what it stresses. That Uttara Mimamsa stresses on the Samanvaya, but the very followers are those who glorify Vedanta, they forget about this integration aspect. That's the sorry thing. You see any number of books on Shankara philosophy, Ramanuja philosophy, Madhva philosophy, Most of them, they contradict each other, they criticize each other, and never think of this integration part. They never think of this samanvaya part. It's a very sorry aspect of it. But at least we, because we are exposed to the Vedic thoughts, and where Vedas always stress on this samanvaya, always stress on this unity, always stress on one world, one family, one unit. Everyone is included, nobody is excluded. And all are brothers and sisters. That's what we call it as universal brotherhood. It's not the latest concept. It is the most ancient concept. So if I understand it in that sense, yes, it will be wonderful and we can all live harmoniously. So to bring out harmony, what we need is integration, we need unity, we need samanvaya. Now this aspect is highlighted in this Vedanta. But unfortunately these Vedantists, as they call themselves, they don't speak of this unity, they don't speak of this unity in diversity, they don't speak of this integration, living together. They say this whole world is Maya, it's all illusion, forget about it, Shankara is wrong, Madhva is wrong, Ramanjana, they fight. You can just observe, and it is more so here in India. Because there, of course, America, it is a combination of so many cultures and civilizations. It is very much metropolitan, cosmopolitan. So these problems may not be there much. But here, they just fight tooth and nail. They have been seeing it day in and day out. So ultimately what happens is, truth is lost, Veda is lost. And that's the problem. So if you open up our minds and work without prejudice and deliberately trying to integrate, deliberately trying to establish unity, deliberately trying to establish harmony, yes, things will happen. And that's what this Uttara Mimamsa stresses on. And that is a real philosophy, that's a real Vedanta. So with this, yes, with this I think I have rushed it through. I have not gone into the details of it, but at least I have got a bird's eye view of what these darshanas speak about. That is Nyaya Darshana, Vaisheshika Darshana, Sankhya Darshana, Yoga Darshana, Purva Mimamsa Darshana and Uttara Mimamsa Darshana. So these are all in accordance with Vedic thoughts. They are all in tune with Vedas. So we can study these things as short notes. So taking these books as short notes for Vedas, and we study them in the light of Vedas, yes, whatever we have studied in Vedas, we can remember them. We can remember them in the form of small sutras in these darshanas, and it will be easy for us to carry it. Of course, the original thing, Vedas also we have to carry, I am not telling it, but Vedas can be summarized. And these 6 darshanas with their sutras, we can carry it very comfortably. And through that, we can go back to the Vedas. They are complementary to each other, they are supplementary to each other, and there is no question of opposition between these Astika darshanas, darshanas which are theistic in nature, to Vedas. This you have to bear in mind. Other things, of course, Jaina darshana, or Charvaka darshana, or whatever you call them, Bauddha darshana and other things, though they don't approve or though they don't accept the Vedic authority, even there also we do have some very good things. That is, they are not to be discarded totally. But there we have to pick up what is in accordance with the Veda and what is not. That exercise we have to do. But this exercise is not required when you come to these 6 theistic darshanas. That is Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. When you come to that, that exercise is not there. Most of these, 99% of them are Vedic. 99% of them are very clear. And of course, we should have a little knowledge of Vedas to understand this. And these things will help us to understand Vedas better. So either way, it's okay. But one thing I stress, the ultimate proof is Veda only, not these darshanas. Because darshanas are in tune with Vedas, yes, we can also study them and have a comparative study, have an epitomized form of, an abridged form of Vedas in the form of sutras. So, Veda Vedanga, about Vedanga I have told a little, and Darshana. These three go hand in hand. Veda, Vedanga, Darshana. So when you study Vedas with the help of Vedangas, with the help of Darshanas, yes, it will be very easy and a wonderful experience about Vedas. But what has happened nowadays is, wherever you go, when you speak of Veda, they speak of Veda, Purana, Itihasa. That is the three things what they speak of. Veda, Purana, Itihasa. Veda is okay, but Purana, Itihasa, they are totally not in tune with Vedas. Purana is a cock and bull story, concocted, and once again here and there you find some Vedic thoughts that I am not denying, but it's with lot of pollutions, lot of interpolations. And they never propose or they never profess the Vedic thoughts clearly. That's the problem what we have with Puranas. And Itihasa is not holding good for all times. Itihasa is just history. You have some historic documents or historic events to discuss. But historic events fail to tell us about Vedas, because what we have in Vedas, it holds good for all times. It's not for any one period, or it's not what you call restrained within the time span. So Veda, Purana, Itihasa is not the right route. The right route is Veda, Vedanga, Darshana. So that's why I gave a short discourse about this Vedanga and Darshana. Now they are all in tune with it. So this route of Veda, Vedanga, Darshana will take us to the right goal and will help us understand Vedas better. Okay, then Shanti Bhagini was asking about one mantra. You can just note down that mantra and we will discuss about in the next class. That is Yajurveda 40.16. Yajurveda 40.16. Now this is the 40th chapter of Yajurveda. And some people have removed this 40th chapter separately and they call it as Ishavasya Upanishad. The 40th chapter is called as Ishavasya Upanishad. But we are not considering as an Upanishad, we are considering as the 40th chapter of Yajurveda because it gets that authority. If I look at it as Upanishad, it will not have that ultimate authority. So I consider this as 40th chapter of Yajurveda. Some people they understand it as, or the same thing has been converted into a separate book and called it as Ishavasya Upanishad. Now in this 40th chapter, the 16th mantra, that's what Shanti Bhagini was asking. Agne Naya Supatha. Tha is Mahaprana. Agne Naya Supatha Raye. Agne Naya Supatha Raye Asman. Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan. Agne Naya Supatha Raye Asman. Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan. So one vertical line. Next. Agne Naya Supatha Raye Asman. Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan. Yuyodhi. Next. Yuyodhi.
Yuyodhi.
Yuyodhi. He is Mahaprana. Yuyodhi Asmat Juhuranam. Juhuranam. Yodhi Asmat Juhuranam Yenam. So I split it. Actually it is Yodhyasmat Juhuranamenam. Put together. Yodhyasmat Juhuranamenam. Bhuyishtham Bhuyishtham. Shtha is again Murdhanya and Mahaprana. Bhuyishtham. Te Nama. Te Nama. Uktim Vidhema. Uktim Vidhema. So 2 vertical lines. So that's the end of the mantra. Agni Naya Supatharaye Asman Vishwani Deva Vayunani Vidwan Yuyodhyasmad Juhurana Menam Bhuishtham Te Nama Uktim Vidhema. Yajurveda 40.16. Actually, discussing about the whole mantra, I had postponed it a little because some more pieces of mantras I wanted to teach you. Of course, that we can do parallelly. There is no problem with that.
Yes.
Because she wanted this, so that also we are starting. So on one side we discuss the pieces of the mantras, on the other side the whole mantras. So in understanding them, okay, there is a little change in style. That of course, when I start discussing about this mantra as a whole, you will be able to catch it. And all the groundwork, what is required, yes, I have sufficiently put it, and it will not be difficult for you to get tuned with that style of understanding the piece of the mantra or the whole mantra also. Okay, now that we will see in the next section.